going.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that? Hold on, I gotta fix my microphone. Oh. Hi.
Yay. Yes, we're live. I think it's working.
Sweet. Hi, Facebook.
Facebook family.
We almost got started. We were like starting to go on a roll. So I'm glad that we're here and get to include Facebook and all of those people who are going to feel called to this session today. Thanks for having me, Crystal.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Emakhet, for doing my year reading the second year in a row. We did it last year too.
Yeah. How was your year, by the way? How did that go?
My year was very transformative, and it was jam-packed with lots of changes. We did it last year. Okay, so our sound is working.
Great.
Yeah, my year was packed with a bunch of changes, and I remember in June you pulled the dolphin for me, and I was like in Long Beach, like walking on the beach every day. So it was very like every month the messages were true, so I loved them.
Were there moments in the year when you were like, oh yeah, that was in my session and here I am? Like, I like that about the Wheel of the Year readings because they last a long time into your future life where you're like, oh yeah, this is something to contemplate for this month. So yeah, it's great to hear that feedback and to know that these longer cast readings can be really helpful that way throughout your whole year.
And I love touching base with you. I think it was around that time period to touch base about which animals, and we did like a reading at the middle of the year, just overviewing like what had happened so far. And then you were telling me about like you put me through this whole guided meditation. It was so beautiful, and like and all the animals came. Yeah, it was so awesome.
I love that. Yeah, I love how, especially working with the animal medicine last year, we were able to continue to develop our relationships with those animals and go deeper into the dreaming ways with them and really learn from them throughout a longer period of time too. So, people, I think with oracle work, there is a lot of, there's a stereotype around predicting the future or doing prophecy work or forecasting. And I think that we just look at potential futures, or we just like set certain symbolic guides for time so we can reach what we would like to reach or prevent what we would like to prevent. But really, like before we even get started today, I think it's important to acknowledge that time is very relative, and that when we're looking at the months of the year, even that was developed by Pope Gregory back in Rome, because like they decided it was going to be that time. And so when we're working with time forecasting and these wheels of time, to really honor the timelessness of it all, and we set these rhythms on purpose because rhythm creates a certain momentum in our life. We can set goals that way and say like, this is a good time to look at our calendars and be like, okay, what do I want my routine to be? Like once a week, I want to go do this practice or something, so that you can get in a new rhythm and start to create that momentum. So I think that's what we'll do too. Or the intention, what I'd like to support is that you have, just like last year, something to pace with and to track along with time. And this is the first time that we're going to do both the solar wheel and the lunar wheel as one reading. So we'll look at January 1st, February 1st, March 1st, etc. You'll receive a card to contemplate from the tarot. And I have the traditional tarot here. Like I want to keep it simps and like keep it really traditional. And then I have a rune for the full moon of that month. So we don't have any blue moons in 2020. They're all going to land one full moon in each month. So it's really more simple to be able to do that, where January 1st, your card will begin. And then January 10th, on the full moon eclipse, you'll receive your first rune. So you'll have two wheels that are rotate, a solar and a lunar wheel rotating at once, which is so beautiful.
I love
It makes sense? Feels clear?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good.
We're going to pull a traditional tarot card from the Rider-Waite tarot deck for each month, and then we'll pull a rune for each full moon in the month.
Yep. Yeah, rune for the moon. Yeah. Great. Okay, so I want to just call in our helpers and call in our guides and create that circle. And especially in regards to time, just calling in our ancestors and benevolent ones, benevolent ancestors that have worked with timekeeping before and have done this work before, both our blood lineage, our spiritual lineage, and the lineage of the land. We thank you for the past and everything that we've inherited from those lineages. And I want to also acknowledge those future descendants and all of those that are going to be after us, both our spiritual descendants, our blood descendants, and also the descendants of this land, and thanking them for the inspiration as we do this work and preserve this work. And then just calling in the present and you and I and all of those witnessing this video in the past, present, and future, and just asking that we remember to return to the present again and again and again. That we'll probably forget and we'll probably get caught up in the webs of time of past and future many times, but may we always come back to the sanctuary of the moment. Okay. So we have a long way to go, so I'm going to move kind of quickly. Let me know if my video is a little bit like choppy, but I hope you can hear me okay. And just let me know.
I can see you perfectly. Okay. And I think that everyone on Facebook can see you perfectly. Yes.
Good. Okay. So, I'm just going to get right into it because we have 12 to cast and we'll cast a 13th card at the end. And I think that 13th card you had mentioned you had another deck could be for me, but maybe I'd like it to be for all of us too. Like all of us as a collective, as a group would be great. Okay, so we're looking at January, which is almost now. January 1st is in a few days. So this card we're calling in for January. And when you are feeling it, just say now. I'm shuffling the cards. And this one just flew out, but yes. I'll put that on the top. Okay, so yes, yeah, there it is. So
flies out, it's meant to be.
It's so meant to be. Look at what your first card is.
The Fool of Course.
The Fool.
I believe it.
Yes, and it's interesting because with the Fool is coming this really joyful feeling, actually, of when you clear your mind. In human design, there's a mantra for if you have an undefined third eye center, and it's I don't know and I don't care. And it's a hard one for me because I have an undefined third eye, and it's very hard for me to accept that concept because I want to know like everything. And I can sometimes have mental pressure around knowledge and knowing things. And the Fool is very much saying to me right now, like, I don't know and I don't care. I just want to have fun. Like sometimes we need to put down the pressure of productivity, of aspiration, of trying to solve our problems, of trying to get ahead, and just rest. Again, in the sanctuary of the moment, to appreciate the beauty of everything that we don't know, and to be okay with that and sort of actually rejoice in it. And so the Fool is showing me their arms like open to the sky and they're rejoicing to the world. Feels very heart opening. And what I feel in January is a fresh start for you for a lot of things. And what I'm matching is like, I just cleared my calendar from last year of many things that I was doing weekly. Like now I'm like, let me wipe that slate clean so that I can replace certain things. And so I do see that being important for you is to wipe the slate clean with some things that you've been investing in regularly. And it's not like those things have to go away, but just that you renew or refresh, hit the restart button and take a little break, take time off to reset, which the 0 is very, remnant of. So how does that land for you? What comes up for you around that?
2019 was all about cutting it and releasing everything that no longer served me. And yeah, I really did embody that. And I really did take a lot off of my plate that I didn't feel called to put my energy towards anymore.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling that I need to, take this next month and, release any of the resolutions and really just figure out what is where I'm being called to direct my energy from a place of love.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that ding. It's like this rejoicing to like the place where we feel joy when we put down the heavy baggage and we open up our heart to the heavens, really, to find what is warm and joyful in our heart. Then we receive more clear guidance about what to now pick up, which after the Fool comes the magician who picks up their wand and picks up the tools again. So it's not, I wouldn't like ever advise to stay in this place all the time and be like, whatever, because it is foolish to always be like, whatever. But there's a little bit, it's a medicine of, I don't know and I don't care.
Yes, and it's funny, in my Gene Keys chart, my life's purpose is rebirth. So like every day is
Yes.
a rebirthing of my
Yes.
spirit. And, like during sleep, our soul travels into the astral plane and then we come back to our body when we wake up. And yeah, it's just like decoding the dreams and then figuring out, okay, like, where am I going to put my focus towards this day? Like,
yeah. And dreams require a certain, like, dream work requires a level of surrender too, where you have to put everything, like even to go to sleep, you have to put everything down and be like, enough. Like, I accept myself for what it is, and now I'm going to put it down and go into that. Like, we travel to the dream realm through the 0 point, which is that surrender. And so, and especially I think in the States, it's really hard for us to slow down and rest because we're taught if you do that, you're lazy and you're not being productive. And we're taught to be very, very aspirational. And we need that. We need power and we need those resources. And so it's also like, I shared a meme yesterday. It's like a revolutionary act, actually, to just like love and accept yourself and give yourself that kind of space and care to listen to the world and what it's asking of you, what brings you that passion and joy. So yeah, let's see what rune comes up for the moon too. Rune for the moon, along with this thought, and then tear. So tear, which looks like an arrow.
Oh yes, I can see.
And Tyr is a god of justice. Tyr is also what's coming to me right now around Tyr is more about focus and direction. And this rune is a spear, but it's also can be like the point of a sword or the point of an arrow. But it's about your aim and accomplishing your aim with diligence. So it's like, if this were my reading, I would see it as like, first clear your mind, like, clear your mind, Jedi, and then look for the direction that comes for you on the full moon. Right now we're in an eclipse portal, so it's like we went into a tunnel on Christmas, and we're in this tunnel until January 10th. So it's not as easy to see clearly right now. And it's time to eat, it's time to sleep, it's time to rest. It's time to just like let go, so that when we come out the other side on the 10th, it's like, where do you want to spit out on the other side? Or where do you want to, you can direct where that tunnel is going to go, though, by getting clear about what you value and what's the right thing to do and what's the priority and what's the most important things to you. And that's not something you go searching for. It's something that you can get quiet and listen to inside of yourself and ask yourself, and it becomes revealed. So Michelle. Yeah. So
doing some intention setting and meditation and just being still and quiet and not letting like the critical mind take over. Because when we're being overcritical of ourselves, like our mind isn't quiet, and so we're not able to receive the messages and the guidance needed because our ego mind is going in circles.
Yeah, and it's the ego is connected to survival, so it makes sense. Like, it's like, oh my God, if I'm not thinking about my plan and my list and being productive all the time, then like I'm not going to get it done, or I'm not going to survive. But what I'm finding is there's this relaxation and surrendering into receptivity, and again, not knowing, that then like makes it more clear what my passions are or what my purpose is right now, because it's like I surrender, and then I feel this fire towards something creative that I like to create. And there's often prosperity involved in those things. So, and that's moving us into February, which, okay, this is weird because there's actually an animal card in my other deck. So I feel like this is February. And it's the whale. So throwback to last year. But we went from the dolphin to the whale. And so, yeah, so something I'm seeing coming in as far as your project, or like what emerges from that visioning time in January, is something pretty deep. And what I'm being shown is actually like whale pods and sound, and how whales see with sonar under the water. They send out these sonar signals, sonar waves, and that's how they're able to see and also sense each other. And what I'm shown is like I'm shown literally like a podcast or something where you're working with sound or speaking, but also there's other people. It would be like on Zoom or something where you have a group and it's like a pod. Like I used to go to this sound healing thing in Santa Cruz where it was like really in tune with the Hathors, like the extraterrestrial groups, and they work Hathors and they work with sound. And we would tone, and we call ourselves a pod, but we were like a whale pod, where we could tone with each other and create this resonant field that then we would send healing through or do other healing work.
So when you were saying Hathor, like the goddess Hathor has the half moon bowl on her head, and it reminded me of when I was on tour with Beats Antique, and Zoe and all her dancers like have those bowls on their heads and they're like belly dancing. And it was like also coming in was like setting your intentions, and then sending that frequency out into the world, because like we radiate a frequency and people are attracted to that frequency.
Yes. Yeah. And especially when you are in your frequency of pleasure and joy and creativity, and you're really in alignment with your work, then it is so attractive. It is, others want to feel that good too. And so, that's part of it, is like and it doesn't mean that your work is easy. It just means that the work that you're doing feels in alignment. But what I'm seeing for February particularly is just how much you're making your sound, it harmonizes with other people, and this is a group dynamic that's taking place that is able to draw up so much. Like it's so deep, there's so much there that like you can send that healing all around the world. It's really beautiful the way that I am seeing it. And then with the whale for the moon in February, we have Feiyu. And Feiyu is also new beginnings, but this is a rune of wealth. Feiyu is the first rune in the rune wheel. Let's see.
It kind of looks like a deer or a fae. Like,
yeah, it looks like, hold on, I have a little delay on my video, but it looks like, yeah. And so Feiyu or Fa is a rune of wealth. It's also raw materials though. So what I'm seeing is that in February, maybe there's not as much money, but there are all the materials you need to earn a lot of money, especially when you pool your resources in group energy and you go deep with that group to sort of go like ping, 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 like light up each, like in our lantern dance ritual, we each have our own lantern. And like that's our personal power and our personal light that's so unique. But we light it up one at a time, and together it makes more light. And it makes a constellation, just like a whale pod. Together, they create some like a group energy that wants to come in. And okay, so Feiyu is here. Now, in the rune poem for Feiyu, they say in a warning as well, which is wealth causes strife amongst kinsmen. And what it means is that with power or with money or resource or raw materials comes responsibility, right? And they say like power corrupts, absolute power corrupts. So corrupts absolutely. And so part of what is protective about group energy is that there's shared power. And so there's shared responsibility with that. And that helps some of the dynamics in the workflow as well that comes up.
I was seeing the Beckys when you were, talking about group work and calling in my team and creating the protection and all focusing towards one goal.
Yeah, and I've read this recently on Facebook somewhere, but it was saying like better to see your weaknesses or like another person's strength in your team, maybe your weakness. So instead of seeing that as a threat to your own power, see that as an amazing asset to your project, because they're going to lift up the things that are harder for you to lift up. But of course, with group dynamics can come those power struggles. So like that's where the whale lives in the deep unconscious, and we don't like mean to, but unconsciously things can come up around that. So that's where like setting your course, the tier rune in January of like now set your focus involves also detailed planning around what it looks like to share power and how you want to respond to that in your group, which you've already had. It's already been established, but there's a reset.
And getting really clear about like, what do I want?
Yeah, what do you value and what's your priority with the Beckys too? Like, what's the most important thing about it right now, that needs attending, which sometimes it's looking at what's most alive in your project, and sometimes it's looking at what is the least alive, or both, supporting that which is growing the best and also looking at what needs to be cleared. Okay, let's go back to March. Let's see if we can actually have a wait. It's so funny, the animal cards just snuck in there. I was like, nope. Okay, March. Just thinking about spring, I'm like, oh. Oh yeah, thinking about spring and looking forward to it. Four of Wands. And I do feel like part of that is influenced because I was like, oh, I'm really looking forward to that. I feel like there's a lot to look forward to this spring and summer for you in general, actually. When I sense it intuitively, I feel like it's going to be a really good one. And what I feel is that, again, like we were talking about routines and rhythms, and how if you set a routine and rhythm, you can sort of roll with it and build momentum. This feels also true going into your spring and summer. And I don't know if you're planning on doing some touring or traveling, but what I see is like you would have a tour plan and getting in a rhythm of self-care now too, that you could maintain in a tour plan. That means like maybe things that you're doing at home, you'd be able to do also at the road. So you can create some consistency in your work, and your, life. But I feel like that's really able to happen. And actually, like, the things you're doing are so much about integrative health that, like, it's not that hard to maintain your health. And what I'm shown is, and this is funny because, like, I feel the guides giggling about it a little bit just because, like, I can relate, is like, we're getting older, like, we're not old, but we're not that young either. And we've had some experience now. We've been around. We've had some experience with travel. We've had some experience in show business. We've had some experience with doing teaching work and oracle work and doing vending stuff and all kinds of stuff. And when we were younger, those things were all new and we were still training in those things. But now we've actually had some training, and we're wise enough now to know to, like, not overdo it, and to be able to manage those thresholds of, like, build and strike and the transitions of all of the part that goes along with this work. So what I see is 4 is a number of stability, as you know, and a number of structure. And so again, that living nomadically or doing travel work does not have to be disorienting or ungrounding for you. And to set goals in March before things get busy, to, like, say, here's my travel schedule, here's my plan, and, like, put on your big girl panties about it. And, like, I'm learning, like, my big girl panties are super cute and they can do shit, and it's fun because I'm, like, taking care of business, and I realize that, like, I do have a seasoned wisdom now that can be applied, and that's cool. So your rune, and I'm going quickly because we have a lot to go over. Your rune for March is Uruz, which is the next from Feiyu, actually. Interesting. Uruz is a rune of strength. And again, it's a rune of stability. And it's a rune of virility and endurance. And so this is definitely a guidance system. And I feel the helpful ancestors coming forward to say, they used to travel a lot. Like, your helpful nomadic ancestors can help you with some of this too. That involves just making sure you got good food, that you're staying hydrated, you're getting enough sleep, your plan. So you're not, like, I've been on tour where I didn't have my whole plan. So it's like, oh my God, I need to book this hotel or find this car. Like, all those travel details that you could get done ahead of time in March will save your butt later on.
Yeah,
Makes sense?
when I was on tour with Wonderlust, I did book all the flights in advance because I didn't want to be on the road trying to figure it out.
Oh
And
yeah.
my schedule was already so jam-packed. Like, I literally had every hour of every day planned. And so I knew that that time in March was my time to book all my flights. And,
Yes.
Wonderlust booked all my hotels. So I didn't have to worry about that. I mean, there was a couple of cities that I needed to, like, rearrange some hotels, and I had to reach out to friends around the country and figure out where I was staying when I didn't have a hotel room and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that comes up. Well, my body, just thinking about it, like, being on tour. I was on tour in Europe where I did not speak the language. And I'm, like, trying to book a hotel while on the road with, like, a cell phone I don't understand. Like, there's the anxiety about that, where order creates harmony, it creates peace.
Well,
That is the good thing about 4 energy, is, like, now I have the structure. Now I can relax and enjoy more.
and it's just surrendering to the chaos. Like, you are the powerful chair, You are the
Mm-hmm.
chair, and everything is happening around your chair. So like,
Yes, it's so Isis because she's the throne.
yeah, so if you turn the four upside down, it's a throne or a chair. It's like
Yeah.
take a fucking seat and get to work, you know.
Yeah.
And the wand is all about like your creative force in the world. Like you're like Harry
Mm-hmm.
Potter, you go out into the world and you create shit with it. And it's like
Yes.
you need to sit down and like create your list of like love, like, dislike, and save for later, and like really
Mm.
focus on the things that you love, like delegate the things that you like, get rid
I
of the
love
things
that. I'm writing that down. Love,
like, dislike, and save for later.
mm-hmm.
And the things that you dislike, like either delegate them out if they still need to be completed, or take that shit to Goodwill. Like that shit needs to go to
Mm-hmm.
fucking Goodwill, girl. You
Yeah,
know?
just recirculate. There's plenty more where that came from.
Yes, and like, not having that poverty consciousness, because I know the Four of Wands is the poverty
Mm.
consciousness card, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
being able to clear out the closet and not feel like, oh my god, I'm not going to be able to replace this item, or
Yeah.
like creating the space for more to come in.
And trusting that more is going to come. Like, yeah, trusting that there's a flow and to prosperity. So you can put it down and more will come. And like having that hope for the future you can't see. Yeah. Okay, let's move to April. Let's see from there, like what comes up. Okay. It's the Two of Wands. So this often comes up with international travel, though. Like, I literally can see that as looking at more of a global, also market or international market, and how you could create both locally and globally. Like, I just saw that bumper sticker in my mind's eye, like, think globally, act locally. Um, and yeah, there's just something about international presence. And the internet gives us that opportunity, but often in our networks, we're still pretty based in the United States, or we're still based even in our local city, or and this is just showing me like a call to form relationships with people of the earth that live in other places in the world. Um, is that something you've thought about? And in April too?
I mean, yeah, I have a pretty good connection to people all around the world from the mastermind I was in 2018. Like, that really connected me to people in Australia and all over Europe, really. Um, and I do have like a pretty good hub in France from like childhood family that I have there, and I went when I was a child to France and London and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
when you were talking about that, I saw myself like being called to be a speaker on like stages and stuff. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because the rune that comes for that moon is the thorn rune, though, which Three says is a rune of boundaries. It's a protection rune. It's probably like the strongest of all the protection runes. Um, it's like it's the thorns around the rose bush, you know, that keep it safe. Um, I just learned recently that the native people here in Portland would plant wild roses around their dwellings to keep people like keep it protected and stuff, like have protection around it. But it's only there to protect their the rose, like thorns are only there to protect the beauty and the vulnerability of the rose. So there's something about like it's weird because I'm seeing the Four of Wands going into the Two of Wands, and how there's something being focused here down or just still down, and it's like a relationship between you and the world, like directly. Um, and you having a voice in the greater picture of the whole entirety of the world rather than in like specific locales. When you do that though, it's like what I was saying where like absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's like the more exposure you have, the more boundaries you'll need. and that's just real.
And what came through for me was like the protection bubble meditation prayer that I invoke with all my clients. And I actually incorporate it with my cord cutting, but I can just do it without the cord cutting. Like I just like to put it after the cord cutting to create that boundary of protection so that negative energies bounce off the bubble and only the things that serve you come in. And so I call in the white healing light from the heavens, and the lavender, and the light blue, and the yellow, and the pink, and like surround everyone with the bubble of protection. And it's like the bubble of protection goes through our heart and our gut and our solar plex, like surrounds us, and like,
yeah. And it's this idea that protection can be in beauty, and it can be a really healing thing for others to come near to us. Like, it's like if you're out and somebody is attracted to you and you're not attracted to them like that, you don't have to be like, I don't like you, and like be mean. You can still be like beautiful and shine, but be like, no. It's like a loving no. Like the thorn is just like, if you press and you try to cross my boundary, then like there's gonna be a firm no. But like I'm still, you can still smell the scent of my flower and see this beauty and be in this beauty, And that's something, the medicine of the rose comes in pretty strong here in April too for you, and working with rose medicine particularly, but like the thorn piece of the rose too, and actually working with thorn medicine some too. That can also be piercings, tattoos, acupuncture, needles. Sometimes Thury saws its realm too. So you might find that maybe that's something you want to work with, maybe acupuncture during that time too. Okay, so let's move to May. I'm eating a cookie while we're talking. I was going to save it for later, but
nourish yourself to your
a little oatmeal cookie.
You can definitely nourish yourself. I give you full permission.
Okay, so May, we have the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is a spiritual teacher. The Hierophant, what I'm being shown is people coming to you for guidance and teaching. And I feel like this would be oracle work, but also teaching work, like very similar to Wanderlust. Like, I don't know if you're gonna, I just sense like you might continue some of this work this year that was similar to like, here's what I do, and then I'll show you how I do what I do. Now, not all popes or priests are like that. Some priests or clergy people choose to not show how they do what they do. They just do it. When people watch them and they go, wow, that's magical. How'd they do that? But what I'm shown is you stepping more into a role as teacher. Does that make sense or feel like?
Yes, I definitely feel that. And I've been feeling called to like teach about business and spirituality at the same time, and like how to combine them to bring in your like best friend, high paying clients, and the clients that actually like excite you to work with, and that you feel like lit up to like jump on the call with them, and you don't feel drained or like your energy is sucked and stuff like that. So like I feel really called to talk about like attracting your BFF soul aligned clients.
And that is so Hierophant. Like the Pope is a business, he's the CEO of a religion. You know what I mean? But it's like the business of spirituality, and that is a really taboo thing for a lot of people, and a lot of practitioners struggle with how to balance those lines. But if we look at it as a way that we can ensure that the most people can receive support as they can, and that's why we do that. That also the spiritual work, we never I don't feel like I'm ever being paid for the actual spiritual work. I'm just that person's giving me food and shelter and helping support that so that I can be healthy enough to continue to give that to them for free. So that's kind of how I see it, even though there are a lot of programs out there that are like, start your own spiritual business, like life coaching, like masterminding kind of stuff. It feels like in this case, it's that, like you said, a BFF, like you're attracting your soulmates and you're supporting each other. And one soulmate happens to have more money that can help with the food and the shelter piece. And one soulmate happens to have more wisdom and insight to share that helps with their food and shelter piece. So
yeah, calling in your soul aligned allies and, you know, support team, exactly, and whatever form that looks like.
Yeah, and then interesting. So I pulled the thorn rune again for May. So I feel like thorn is going to be coming up for you this spring. And what I'm shown is this, it could be challenging also in April and May. I know that I think Venus goes retrograde in May. And I know there's some stuff around that for people, certain people, around karma and having to have boundaries and say no. And I suddenly just feel you kind of like riled a little bit or rustled. Like you're just like, everything just got shook up. And so this is where Thorn wants to come in to help you, to be like, no, this beauty is preserved. Like, no, peace is preserved here. Peace and prosperity are my number one priority right now. You know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, of course in a year we're gonna have lots of ups and downs. I feel like maybe if there are some downs in May, that Thuri says is a strengthening rune for you, that Thorn comes to help support you and having to build the boundaries. I'm putting my sweater on. It's so cold in Portland.
It's cold here too.
I'm sitting by the window.
There's actually snow in the mountains just nearby.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely winter. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
How are our viewers doing? How's do we have viewers?
We have like 4 viewers.
Hi viewers, hi.
And if you guys have any questions for us or want to book a reading with us, either of us, you can reach out to us here on Facebook in our messenger, or you can book Emakhet for the next month before she takes an oracle. I hate it.
I'm hibernating. Yeah, I'm gonna hibernate.
A hiatus, yeah. She's gonna take a hiatus starting in February. So if you want to get one of these readings from her, definitely book her on her website at readingsforthepeople.com. And yeah, and you can reach out to me on my website, crystalmiel.com, or you can reach out to us here on Facebook.
Yes. Yeah, if you're hearing the call. Thank you for that. Cool. Okay, so we're almost halfway. So let's go into June. Wow, you have a lot of wands. You have the Ace of Wands. We went from
a lot of work. I feel like I'm
to
getting
1.
to work.
Wow, a lot to do. Or make
so
happen.
much to do.
Wow. All right. So, and yeah, again, you went from the 4 of Wands to the 2 of Wands to the Ace of Wands. So they went boop, 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 into this kind of focus.
Right. It just went down into like a pyramid.
It did. Yeah. Something gets really focused in June, and almost like I saw the fire going boom, like an explosion. Like it's just like, it's like everything gets pared down and it's like, and boom. And just get
We lost you. I think you have to check your connection. Yeah, your connection. I can't hear you.
How is it?
There. There.
How's it now? Okay.
Good. So what did you say? Nope, not working.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I have a cookie in my hand. I'm like, are you a fire dancer? Do you fire dance?
I have fire danced only once at Burning Man in 2017. Sylvie took me out into the middle of the playa with Rajiv and Samantha and other friends. And yeah, just I practiced twirling the staff without the fire, and then Sylvie lit me up. And then I practiced, spinning the staff.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I was thinking of creating the Becky Tarot deck, I wanted to create the wands as fire, like, staffs.
Yeah, totally.
I was just having this meeting about creating the Becky deck. I'm thinking I'm going to create, like, a Becky Oracle deck first, like, called Wisdom.
I love it.
And then do
Okay,
the
I cannot wait to read with that. Oh my God.
Oh
my goddess. All the things.
Be in it. You'll have to come and be in it.
I will. I would be honored to be in the Becky deck for sure. Yeah, super creative. I just feel like, and I don't know if you'll actually literally fire dance in June, but maybe this is pointing to your deck and maybe aiming for June as a time when that would be coming out. Cause it just feels like all the energy gets focused in and then it just explodes. I pulled a rune and I pulled the blank rune. So there wasn't a rune for that moon. It's just like this one wand that is like one wand to rule them all.
No, we lost you again. We lost you again. Lost you.
How's that?
Good.
Okay, good. I had to flip my headphones around my sweater. Okay, so July. Ooh, July. Look, it's a lion for July. Strength card.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like this is a powerful year so far. I feel like you're a powerhouse and you know that you're a powerhouse. But again, like the messages that have been coming in are like, you've had some experience now to where you can hone your wisdom and really focus it in creatively to make something very impactful. And with that, you're going to need a team. You're going to need a healthy team and also like shared power and being able to respond to the responsibility that being able to respond to everything that comes with that. And so strength is definitely a helper here, and it's actually the lion doesn't feel that wild to me the way it does sometimes in the card. It feels more like a helper for you to, like a guardian spirit. Like lion energy is like the warm, soft lion, but the strength of the lion to the resilience of the heart of the lion.
I see the lion just walking beside me.
Yeah.
I'm being in alignment with my energy and like tuning my energy into being very strong and determined and like able to deal with everything head on, you know, with a lot of like inertia,
Yes. Yeah. And you said inertia. I pulled the Rido rune, which is like an R. It's like a pointy R. I don't know if you can see it that well in the video.
Oh yeah, I can see. Okay.
But Rido is the rune of travel and the rune of the journey. So I also see that you might be traveling in July, but also just like there's movement here. There's movement and it requires that kind of strength. Like as you're walking, your lion's beside you and you're like walking through savannah in your power, and you're strong. Let's see, and then into August. Wow. So yeah, then the tower comes in August. And it looks like there's a really dramatic change in August that takes place. And Laguz, the rune of the bent reed, comes in with this. Laguz is a healing rune. It's a water rune. And so what it's reminding you is that in August, there's some pretty big changes and it might shake you up a little bit, but it's a healing change. It's sort of like, let's say you've been in a difficult relationship for a while and there's been a lot of conflict and it's been really draining and frustrating. And then it ends kind of suddenly. And it's like, oh, it's so painful. But then you're kind of like, but remember, this is the healing taking place because now I won't be drained. Now I won't be struggling anymore. And like you have to put the balm on your wounds and let it heal and know what your balm is and know how to nurture yourself to go through inevitably what we all go through in life when those changes happen. And we've been talking a lot about business because I feel like in the beginning of the year, there's a lot of focus on work, but I feel like this is a shift also, and this could be relational for you. Like there could be a possible future where, relationship changes really fast and that it might feel hard, but knowing it's for the healing, let it flow and let it go. Just let changes come. Again, like I think about the crone women and crone people, but crone women in particular who have seen so much shit, they're just like, honey, I've seen so much shit. Like, let it go. Like when you get old enough, you just realize that life sometimes just like is hard. And then,
Yeah, when you held up the card, what was really coming out to me was the lightning bolt. And it's like, act when the lightning strikes, that saying. And it's like, and the lightning strikes the tower. And it's like, what was coming through for me was like, that's the time to act on your divine will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's like how I was like receiving the tower. It was like, now is the time to strike, and like clear out anything that isn't working, like because the tower is all about like everything crumbling to the ground and then you starting from ground zero. So it's like another like refresher card.
It is, and it really refertilizes. Like after fire, it refertilizes the soil. There's some seeds that don't grow unless there is a fire, unless there's a disturbance of some kind. So I think the tower is that necessary disturbance that happens in nature so that things can regrow and evolve in a better, like more aligned way to your mission and your task and purpose. And then September, it's like after the rainstorm, the 10 of Cups.
Awesome.
Oh, and it's like, yay. And there's definitely that sense of family here and that sense of community and like home and like, again, this like reaching towards the sky and like rejoice. And so, yeah, I feel like maybe it's stormy in August, but September comes that rainbow of hope. And Laguz, the water, is like, it's the water of August is healing. It's coming in to wash things away so that you can, like, after a great rain, when the sun comes back out and it's so fresh and everything's nourished, it feels like that. And then again, Feiyu comes. So there's wealth coming for you again in September. The tools and materials too for wealth. Also, Feiyu showing me another part of its poem is the wolf lurks in the woods. And there's a lot of different interpretations of that, but the wolf medicine comes in September as well for you. And there's a wildness about the wolf, or a call for you to go back into nature or go to the wilds and be in the woods. And I just see you like finding happiness in connecting with nature in a deep way, and seeing the wealth of the earth, or working with the wealth of the earth. And then there's something really faint about, like, it's weird. It's like, it's a product that maybe you will be working with then, and it's a food, like a nutrition product. Something that I just saw you like eating it or working with it. Okay, almost there. So October, Knight of Cups. And with that, my first impression is an actual person coming into your life. Yeah, I feel like this is a person who would be influential for you.
Yeah, like when the Knight of Cups comes in, it's like definitely support.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like an anchor of support.
Mm-hmm.
It can be like in the form of like emotional or financial.
Oh yeah, and Dag comes in with it, which is the sunrise. This is a new person coming into your life for support for you in October. Yeah. And I don't know if what kind of relationship that is, but Dagaz, D-A-G-A-Z, or Dag rune is a rune of new beginnings, of rebirth. It's often the last of the Elder Futhark, and Feyu, which comes in September, is the first. So it's weird because you're starting something new in September, but then you're kind of finishing something in October, making way for new modes of support to come in for you. And that comes in the form of people, especially a particular person. And I mean, I just pulled the Lovers for November.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there could potentially be romance around either this person or someone else, but a focus on romance next November 2020. And I pulled Jera for November, which is the rune of it means year, the wheel of the year. And it can be like a rune of anniversaries of something. And that's November 30th. It would be at the very end of November where Jera would kick in. Which maybe we'll do another Wheel of the Year reading on then. So, okay, so one more month and then we can just kind of review. I'm going a little quickly, but just to pull them out because we're kind of coasting into winter. And we're going far out into time now. The Two of Pentacles comes in for December 29th, 2020. I mean, for December 2020. And going back and forth. And
the scales, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be balancing finances. I see it sometimes as like it can be a little unstable.
Yeah, robbing Peter to pay Paul energy, juggling finances.
Yeah. And I can also see it being between two places or being between two things, like working two jobs can feel like this. It's a little bit unsettling though. The rune that comes with it is Ing. And Ing is a seed. And Ing is a god of the male god of like the seed giver or fertility. It's fertility rune. It's interesting because I can show you so in November you have I have a little delay. This rune, Jera, which is the wheel of the year. And you can see how it's kind of like spinning and rotating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then December, you see the same symbols, but they're locked in. This is ing. It's like they go joop and they come two, merge into one thing. This
Yes.
reminds me of kind of like how for a while I was juggling readings for the people and Dream Council and kind of going like this, but it was feeling a little bit like also I couldn't really fully like drop into both.
Yeah, and
I
pulled up a rune chart. If you ever wanted to pull that up on the screen, we could.
A rune chart?
Yeah, do you want to pull it up really quick and we can
Sure.
overview all the runes?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me share the screen. Here we go. Can you see my screen okay?
Oh yeah, so these are the Anglo runes.
Are they different?
Or is this Northumbrian? I think these are the Anglo runes, Anglo-Saxon. It's different than the system that I work with, but there are a few that are the same. Like for example,
I can
for wealth.
Uh-huh.
The same, even though the symbol is drawn slightly differently. This Feu is the way, it's so beautiful the way they make it curved like this.
It looks like a menorah.
It does.
A Hanukkah, like a half of a menorah.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty. Yeah.
It's also the horns of the cattle. It's a rune of cattle because cattle were the original money. So it represents wealth. Urus, you also got Uru here, the Auric. You got that for March.
Okay.
Thorn, the next one, you got that for May. You also got it for April. You got it twice.
Okay.
Rido, the R.
It looks like in this, it looks like a pregnant woman.
Yeah. So in the Elder Futhark that I read, this is a triangle instead of a curve.
Right.
I believe this is either Northumbrian or Anglo. I can't remember, but
yeah, it says
they have a lot of curves. So yeah, Anglo-Saxon. Yeah. So for example, Jera, I don't know if they have Jera the same and Ing the same. Here's Ing. There's Dig you got for October.
I can pull up the right one. Which one is it?
The Elder Futhark. Elder Futhark runes. Futhark. Yep, there you go. And Futhark is actually just how you pronounce the first letters of the rune Ro. Feu, Urus, Turisas, Angsus, Frido, Kenas is Futhark. There it is. Yeah, that's it. That one also, yeah.
I'm just trying to find a big enough one that shows. Here it is. Let's go here. Here we go.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go in order of the months. So January, if you look at the one that looks like an arrow, the T, letter T, Tewaz, the god Tyr on the bottom left corner.
Okay, here.
That's what you got for January. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And February is Feu, wealth.
Here.
Yep. Then March is Urus, which is next door.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thurisaz is in April, which is next door to that.
Okay.
They're still drawing it round, which I usually draw it pointed, but that's fine. So you have Thorn for 2 months for April and May. Then you have a blank rune, which some people don't read. I do. So June, you don't have a rune. And then July, you go to write it.
I feel like the June is like just like having a clear plate so that I can receive the messages.
Yeah, it's just Ace of Wands. It's just like so focused.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Rido for July, which is the R that says writing.
Right here. Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's the journey rune. And then August is Laguz, which is down at the bottom. Water.
Yeah.
Yep. And then September, you go back to Feu, which is at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dag or Dagaz, which is at the very end here. Day.
Right here.
Yep. That's October. And then November is Jera, which is letter J, the year or the harvest, which is in the very middle there. The two, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then Ing, it looks like a diamond in this version, which I draw it a little bit differently, but it's kind of like how some people, people have different handwriting. It's like that with runes too. It's just different handwriting. And that's summer. So yeah, each one you can contemplate on the moon. And what I learned from my teacher, Jonathan Rigby, is to meditate upon the rune in red. And you can imagine you're blowing into the rune like a coal in fire. So like Laguz, the healing rune, you can imagine it in your mind and then just blow into it and it glows brighter. And you can hold that rune. Some runes are sending runes. Now, careful with this magic, viewers at home. Like, viewers, don't try to send like a thorn rune or like, because the runes are really real and they're very powerful, and some of them are warring runes, So, but you can send runes for healing. You can meditate on those runes. You can, make magic with them, tone them, and things like that. So I pray that all of these symbols and all these cards, with all of that said, just meet you in peace and support you in the coming cycles of time and beyond all time and space, that they just help bring you magic and mystery and inspiration in your life. And thank you to the guides and allies of the past and the future and the present for being here. Stay if you will.
Did you want me to pull, oh shit, did you want me to pull a mystical shaman oracle card?
Yeah, so let's close maybe with a card for all of us, yeah? For all of our
2020?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Emakhet. That was so beautiful.
You're so welcome.
I really liked working with just the traditional tarot deck.
Me too. I love how you read also, so you're like, oh yeah, this card, like immediately you have a relationship with it. So cool.
Yeah, I really enjoy reading other oracles and working with other oracles. I'm so glad that I'm connected to your little oracle class. I love it.
Me too. Oh, me too.
And if anyone else wants to jump in the oracle class, like Emakhet is giving it away in donation form, but I suggest at least donating at least $20 to jump in.
Yeah.
Because it's really worth like 200 or 250.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it all together into one package soon, because right now it's in 3 parts, and I will be teaching for Sphinx Mystery School starting in February, so I'll be teaching once a week, but we're going to talk about more than just divination. We're going to have a different topic every week.
Yay.
It's going to be really fun. Lots of practical metaphysics stuff for people who are just getting started on their path and feel a little overwhelmed and want to learn some magical tools and things like that. And that's donation based. So you make a one-time donation. I add you to the group. I teach every week, and then I'll pass a basket around once a month, so you can always like redonate. But once you're in, you can just come. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Okay, so we got soul retrieval here, and let me just pull this up really quick. But what are you seeing in the image so far, Emakhet?
I was just feeling soul retrieval, and like I was sensing into the traumas that I've experienced in my life where I left certain parts of my confidence or parts of my vitality or parts of my excitement or joy behind there. And that's such a like core essence part of the benefit of soul retrieval work, is that we come into forgiveness and acceptance of our past selves, and like it's okay to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made, or also like to come to reframe the traumas that we've experienced so that we can call back those parts of ourselves. Like, I don't know. Like, I felt in my life, like, I'm like, I used to be so shiny. Like, I call it losing my fairy. It's like when I forget my inspiration, or I just feel kind of like murky and kind of like stagnant and like bored and like not that inspired and just kind of like, blah. And it's like, I lost my fairy. Like, where did it go? Like, where did that spark, that excitement for life go? You know? And so I think a big part of calling that back in is forgiveness of ourselves for losing it in the first place, and not getting in the cycle of like self-defeating talk around why we feel murky, you know? And
Yeah,
it is
tapping into our essence self, our higher soul being, and remembering that like we are an eternal being that decided to incarnate into this human mortal body, you know, and yeah, so our spirit will live on forever and ever, but our body is temporary.
yeah, totally. I just saw too how like reflecting on the past year, because I think a lot of us are doing that right now, is like calling back the soul parts from this past year that we've left behind, like looking at our greatest successes and our greatest failures, and like just looking at it all as one thing, without like, and with non-judgment, just with presence and acceptance and gratitude, and being like, thank you for the totality of all of this, and I release you, you know, like, thank you, and I release you. Because I think part of how our soul fragments get stuck in those past memories is because like we're attached to them, they serve us in some way, or like, yeah, just that, like, I accept you, thank you, I release you, that brings us back, our brings us back into that timeless presence now.
Yes, like it's okay to look at our past winnings and failures, but not becoming attached to them, and not judging ourselves from where we stand now, and not beating ourselves up, our past self up, because our past self was not the same person that we are today. We didn't have the same wisdoms and knowing that we have in this moment. And so just to thank that past self for taking you on the journey that it brought you to now. And, you know, like, don't ever say like shoulda, woulda, couldas, because you're placing yourself in the past, you know, and the best thing you can do is just focus on what your soul is calling you to do right now, like what your heart is calling you to do right in this moment. It looks like it's a butterfly. It's a butterfly on this, but the butterfly looks really tired.
I can relate to that. I'm a
Yeah,
tired
and I've been feeling, I've also been feeling really tired, you know?
Yeah.
And also it looks like is that a beetle? It's hard to see like what the butterfly is even holding.
Oh yeah. Is it a crystal?
I thought it could be like a crystal, but it looks more like another bug.
Huh.
Another bug is coming down to help it lift it up
Mm-hmm.
out of, because it looks like it's kind of stuck in some murkiness.
Yeah, I just see like if you're stuck in the murky mark and you're trying to get out and you're tired from all the transformation, you got to reach out and ask a friend, because to help you. Sometimes like
Or a mentor,
helpful
or
people will come and support you out of the murkamuck and hold you accountable too, and be like,
so I feel like it's like a beetle friend coming, and like the green beetle friend, and it's like, come,
yeah,
take my hand, I'll lift you up.
yeah,
Like the beetle is like one of the strongest insects in the
mm-hmm.
insect kingdom, and it's one of the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just like, here, I'll help you rise up back to your beauty. essence.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's like seeing the strengths in people and celebrating the strengths in other people and asking them for help with their strengths that's a weakness for you, rather than seeing that as being a threat. Or because I think our egos get afraid when we see people who are strong and powerful, you know, that like we won't have enough sometimes. So like being like, you're really strong at that, will you help me? Because that helps me get out of my murky muck and feel like, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So
Okay, well, let's see. Yep, it's almost 1:30. So I feel like it's a good time to wind down. And how
okay,
many viewers do we have? Any viewers on right now?
let's check.
Oop, oop.
Let's see here. There's one viewer. Well, thank you for viewing it, and thank you for all our future viewers.
Yeah,
The
thank
replay.
you. I see Katie Kemp
Oh, hi, Katie.
commented. I'm going on there now, but I see Katie Kemp. So hi, Katie. Thank you for
Thank
tuning
you.
in.
All right. Love you, and love you all,
Thank
Facebook
you. Oh,
fam.
thank you so much. Ooh. Air hugs, air hugs. Yay, Crystal. I wish you such a beautiful year, and let's be in touch. And yeah, and may this video just meet whoever it's meant to meet in peace and at the right time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.